Alright, everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So we're a little bit late with content this weekend. But while it was a long weekend, it was also a long weekend. I had to get some other chores and things done out of the way first. But we got around to it today. So all the Shonen Jump stuff should be uploaded on the channel by now. And if you haven't already, please do check out the channel update that dropped last week. That had kind of information on what read-throughs and stuff are coming to the channel for the next little while. So as promised with that one, we are getting around to one of the other read-throughs, or one of the 3 read-throughs we're doing for the channel. So we're going to be doing Kaoru Mori's Bride Story. So like I mentioned in the channel update last time, I feel like I did at least the first 2 or so volumes of this series way back when I first started this channel, like sometime around then. So I think it's been at least 3 years or so since I've read the series. And I always kind of meant to go back because I did collect the rest of the volumes, as you can see back there. And I always meant to go back around to getting back to doing read-throughs for this series, but never got around to it. But I figured now is as good a time as any. Now I'm trying to kind of diversify my read-through lineup a little bit. So I figured I'd start this series over again from the beginning because I have very little memory of what actually happened in the first couple of volumes anyway. So yeah, we're going to get around back to this series. I remember having a lot of fun with it back when I was doing those videos, so hopefully we'll see if it's still feel the same way now. But yeah, without further ado, we're going to get into it with A Bride Story Volume 1 by Kaoru Mori. As we have, and I'm going to try to get through the entire volume. This is about 100 and some pages, 180-ish pages, I think, which was about the same as the Battle Angel Alita volumes I did last week. So hopefully we should be able to keep it in around an hour. But yeah, like I mentioned, we're going to be trying, like all the other read-throughs, we'll try to keep it to about 45 minutes to an hour. If it goes a little bit long, we'll try to see. I might split it into 2 videos, but we'll see what happens. But we have Chapter 1, The Bride and Her Young Groom. Again, just the artwork in this series is phenomenal. Just absolutely phenomenal with how much intricate details put into there. But you see this young kid, and you see this woman just kind of lifting up her little bridal veil scarf as they're exchanging glances. And she goes, "Oh my!" And you see a little family portrait of them all sitting together. And you see like a little sweeping over the landscape of the mountains, and these rabbits all running around as this old man on a horse kind of herding his sheep through the plains. You have Central Asia in the 19th century in a provincial town near the Caspian Sea. And you see a bunch of kids all peeking in as someone's getting all dressed up with jewelry. You have a, "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" Jeff, "Good morning." It's like, "Good morning. Sorry about my little brothers." The little girl just like goes all blushing, just like stomps out again. Jeff, "Did they come by again?" And you have the little kid from the beginning coming in. Jeff, "They merely came to say good morning." It's like, "It's because they think your clothes are so unusual." It's like, "Are they that unusual, my clothes?" And he goes, "I think they look wonderful on you. This is from my mother. She said to use it as you see fit." It's like, "Thank you so much." You have the bride who arrived on horseback from a distant village that lay across the mountains was 8 years the groom's senior. Amir Halgal, 20 years old, and you have Karluk Ihon, 12 years old. And you see her just wrapping up our rug and taking it outside to be dusted. You have their married life together began not more than a few days ago. You have mornings. A "Good morning, Amir." It's a "Good morning to you too, mother. The cloth you gave me is beautiful." It's like, "Oh, I'm glad it's to your liking." And she goes, "Is there anything I can do to help?" It's like, "Let me see. I think we can manage things in here, so would you please set out the dishes?" And Jeff, "Yes." And she goes and lays out these dishes. "Do you have anything else?" Like, "Let's see." Jeff, "Mother, I'm bringing the pot to the table now." It's like, "Mind your sleeves." Like, "Don't worry." And you see he's just kind of just like holding back and sitting down as all the other women are kind of getting all the breakfast table set up. And you see Karluk outside with the horse. As you have, "I'm afraid I meant to let the meat boil too long. Can I offer you some tea?" It's like, yes, I'll have some. And you see them all sitting around this table together. Jav, while I'm thinking of it, I'll be going to the next market while I'm there. Does anybody need anything? And Jav, I don't expect I'll be able to sell all the sheep, so I won't have much money to spend. And I assume that's the father, is like this big burly bearded man with like a turban. And things the grandfather who we saw herding the sheep earlier going, I'd like to have my short sword honed. And the mother goes, some flour and oil? It's like cloth dye and embroidery thread maybe. Yeah, some rope for making repairs and some nails. And the grandmother's like, we're out of compress cloth. And you have this glasses looking foreigner guy sitting there going, a market is it? I'd be ecstatic if I could get my hands on any old documents in Turkish. Jeff, you know I'd love some Boncook beads. It's like a pencil for me. It's like, listen you, he said it's things you need, not things you happen to want. Like, now everyone. And it's like, what about you, Amir? Is there anything you need? And she's like, no, nothing really. Is that right? And you see you soon as the little sister takes off with one of the younger siblings on horseback. And you see, what does this Kutar mean? As you see the foreigner guy going through some documents. And Carl looks like it's a festival. It's like, oh, that clears things up. It's held sometime in September. It's very pretty. You see Carl just glancing over at the women as they're washing the dishes. And they see him looking and they look back at him and he goes, what is it? So we were talking about soup. She says she makes soup from rabbit meat. But I told her we don't eat that sort of thing much around here. Carl looks like, rabbit? And Amir's like, you haven't eaten it? She says it's delicious. He's like, really? Rabbit? And she just scoffs, silent for a second before she smiles and goes, why don't I go and get some for us? And he's like, eh? It's like, when you say go and get, it's like, I'm sorry, I know we're in the middle of this, but again, just phenomenal artwork on the clothing. And she goes and gets dressed, like ties a little rope around her with the arrow pouch, the arrow quiver around her waist, and she goes and grabs a bow. And he's like, you have a bow? It's like, yes, it's part of my dowry. And she goes and saddles the horse and goes, there. It's like, I wonder if there even are rabbits in this area. And she's like, I saw some near Lake Soma. Nobody goes around here goes rabbit hunting, is that right? If so, I think I can get some for us. I'll do my best to make it back in time to cook dinner. And she just takes off galloping. And the mother's like, I do hope she'll be all right. And you see out in the mountains, the sheep herder just letting the sheep graze as he's smoking a pipe. You see back in the town, Carl just waiting outside, still anxiously looking down the road. As a foreigner bro's like, she still hasn't returned? Yeah, what's wrong there, Karluk? And he goes, Elder Chagap, my wife said she was going off to Lake Soma and she hasn't come back yet. He's like, Lake Soma? That place is dangerous. Haven't packs of wolves been sighted around those parts? He's like, well, it was a while back that I heard about it. Don't know if they're still about. And Karluk just saddles the horse and takes off with, I'm going to look for her. And he's like, wait. And you see as he's running off into the field, the merchant bro tailing him on a mule. And he sees Amir just galloping on her horse as she's chasing her rabbit. This look of determination on her face. As she's swiping it down, you see her slowly grabbing an arrow and knocking it. Again, just phenomenal artwork in this series. And you see as she's slowly gaining ground, she just knocks the bow, gets ready, loosens it, and with a thunk, with an eep, she shoots the rabbit. And as she slows the horse down, she just kind of leans out of the saddle to pick it up, and she retrieves her arrow. And she notices Karluk and foreigner bro watching them. And she just rides up happily. She's got like 3 rabbits strung up on a little rope. She showed off proudly. And he's like, oh, you caught all those with nothing but bow and arrows? That's quite a feat. And the little kids are like, it's rabbits! And you see the mother asking, will this be enough water? And she just takes a little knife, starts cutting them off. She starts slicing them open and skinning them. It's like, my, you cleaned them so well. And you see later that evening as a pot of stew's bubbling away, you have a, oh my. And Carl looks like, this is delicious, isn't it? And Foreigner's like, yes, it tastes wonderful. He's just crunching. And he's like, oh, you bitten arrowheads? Like, are you all right? I was like, do you often eat this where you come from? And Amir's like, no, I wouldn't say often. You cannot catch rabbits in winter unless you have a hawk. I haven't so much as held a bow in so long, it seems I've lost my touch. It took much longer than I expected. And Carla goes, I'm just happy you're safe. When I heard that there might be wolves, I got so worried. Excuse me, and the grandfather's like, that'd be Chagap, eh? It's like, to hear him tell it, a dog becomes a wolf and a sheep becomes a tiger. And the little sister's like, excuse me, you can catch rabbits with a hawk? He's like, I'm sorry, my daughter simply loves hawks. It's like, not very ladylike, is it? It's like, how's it done? And Amir's like, it takes a good deal of training for handlers and their hawks to be able to hunt. It's like, they have human owners? It's like, yes, the hawk sits on its owner's arm like this. And she just like holds out the arm to showcase it. It's like, they do what they're told? It's like, if they're well trained, yes. It's like, oh, it's like a hawk sitting on your arm. And you see the other kids all curious, looking at her bow and quiver. And it's like, can I touch it? It's like, certainly. And it's like, don't you dare break it. You better be careful. And you see them grabbing the bow and just like messing with the string and pulling. It's like, it's stiff. It's like, let me see, let me see. It's like, no, you hold it this way. And she goes, if you don't mind, it's like, mark a spot on the wall over there and then come back. And you see the kid just running over the wall, marking a little X. It's like, good, now come back here. And she shows like, you hold it this way. And she shows like, you're supposed to knock the arrow, like hold it between your two fingers. It's like, you hold it this way and knock the arrow. And she draws and just lets it loose right into the middle of the arrow, into the X. And the father's like, she can do that from horseback? Now that is impressive. You have hunting, fleeing prey. Long ago, we all were able to do that. Now we don't hunt at all. But the tradition still survives in that girl's village, eh? And you see all the kids being like, Father, I want a bow too! I want one too! It's like, want one! It's like, well, I suppose it wouldn't do any harm. It's like, what say you? And Carl looks like, Amir, are you willing to teach them? She just smiles at him. It's like, then at the next market, Jeff, may I serve you another bowl? It's like, yes, thank you. And you see later that night, as he's kind of just drifting off to sleep, he sees her nearby, as Smoke's just kind of drifting around. And you see the next day that the kids have all got their little tiny baby bows, as they're all doing a little target practice. And Amir spots Karluk walking by and goes, Karluk! And he gives her this fancy embroidered coat. And he's like, thank you. He's like, it's made from those rabbits? It's like, oh my. It's like, I know very little about how clothes are made here, so I wasn't sure you'd like it. It's like, is that what vest looks like where you come from? It's like, what's this? It's like, the embroidery is so fine. It's like, isn't this the cloth I gave you? And he's like, eh? It's like, you used all the cloth and thread to make clothes for this boy? And he's like, ah, it is. And she's just like, I assume that was why you gave it to me. And the mother's like, I thought it might be nice cloth to use to make your own clothes. She stops and she gets all embarrassed and just like looks down at her clothes and goes running off. It's like, perhaps I said something I ought not have? And here she... and here she's just coming running back, just stripped down to her underwear with her clothes under her hands. And it's like, ah, scandalous! She's like, please forgive me. I hadn't realized just how dirty my clothes are. I'll go wash them immediately. And the mother's like, no, I never meant to imply that your clothes were dirty. He's like, Amir, clothes first. Put on some clothes. And the other was like, don't you dare look. And she's like, scatter all the little kids. And you see later that evening how you say she died. The girl we sent to the Numaji to be married. What does that mean for us? It's like, how could she die before that idiot boy she married? That land is supposed to be ours. I'll not stand by and watch another clan steal out from under us. It's like, who else do we have? There must be some other girl we can offer instead. And you have silence before. It has to be Amir. She was getting on in ears, so we sent her off to a town beyond the mountains. But her groom is some snot-nosed whelp. We gain nothing in sending her all the way out there. So we'll simply take her back and give her to the Numaji. It's like, that's right, that's our best option. We need Amir. Go bring Amir back. So you have chapter 1 end. And in chapter 2 you have, hey, mister! As you see this old guy taking a little like wooden pick to kind of scraping out some wood. It's like, oh, it's you, kid. Back again, huh? It's like, what you making? It's like a support beam. A chisel, that's the word I was looking for. He's using a little chisel to kind of chip away at the wood. And he's marking like this intricate world designs into it. And you see him taking out like different chisels as he's chipping away at it. And the kid's just like nearby with his arms crossed, just watching intently. And the old man's like, is this interesting? He's like, yeah. It's like, really? You really think so, huh? He's like, what's that? It's like, that's a charm. With that carved in the house will last a good long time. And you see this like little pattern there that he's drawn. It's like, where's the goat? It's like, goat? There's no goat? It's like, don't you think a goat on a support post is kind of strange? It's like, it's strange? It's like, you just like goats or something, kid. It's like, the horns are cool. It's like, I have to admit. And you see him chipping away more at the support post. Again, I cannot emphasize how much effort it must have taken to put in this much intricate detail on like the wooden structures and like the wooden like beams, like doors, windows, frames, and stuff like that. Just absolutely phenomenal work. And you see, as Carlo's hanging up a rug, he's like, "You mean here?" Amir's like, "Just a little bit more to the right." It's like, "There, right there." He's like, "Now let me hold it up and you go have a look." And as she's holding it up, he's like, "Indeed, that one does look much better." And Foreigner Bro's like, "Excuse me, but I haven't the foggiest idea why that is better than the one before." And Carla goes, "It's the color pattern. Just look at this. This is what we had before. See? Don't you think this pattern fits the decor better?" He's like, "Oh." He's like, "The color patterns match." "Do you have his Amir here? There's something I wanted to ask her." And he's like, "Yes?" He's like, "Oh, so you've changed the wall hangings? My, it certainly gives the room a whole different feel." It's like, "Well, this was our chance." And you have, "Oh, now this truly is astonishing. Seems like a completely new room." It's like, "So these are the gifts you received as wedding presents?" It's like, "Oh, you can tell it's this just by looking." It's like, "That's right, that one was from Big Sister Melta." It's like, "Not that I have any right to talk." It's like, "Wait, no, that isn't why I came in here." It's like, "Have any of you seen Rostam recently? He ran off somewhere without doing the chores I told him to do." And Carl looks like, "Have you seen him?" Namir's like, "No, you and I have been here together the whole time." He's like, "Oh, that's right." He's like, "He's gone missing more than once recently." It's like, "Really? Where can he be getting off to? When he comes home, he's getting a piece of my mind." And you see a, "Hey, mister," and you have an "oh," as you see, was it Rostam running back to see the old man who's carving, flowery designs and like petals and stuff into a new piece of wood. Again, I cannot believe someone actually drew this. Like, the attention to detail is just astounding. And you see, as the old man's kind of carving, he's kind of like, his finger just like feel out the grooves as he's carving it. Just, man, it's great. You have later as a kid, it's like, "Huh? Let's have some tea." Do you have a hoe? So you have two big brothers and an older sister? It's like, "Huh, that means you're the youngest." It's like, "Yeah." It's like, "What's this gonna be?" It's like, "That's a door frame." It's like, "And this?" It's like, "A door. Don't touch them, they could fall and hurt you." And you see as he's pointing to different ones, it's like a transom, shutters, a bracket arm. It's like, "Bracket arm?" And the old man gets up and goes, "Look here, kid. First, you lay out stones in a regular pattern, see? Then you stand support beams on those stones. The bracket arms fit on top of the pillars. This is where your bracket arms go." And he's got a little diagram is explaining this. "Then the door is built between the two beams. You have to be mindful about which way the door opens. For walls, you stack rocks or maybe bricks. And while you're at it, you add in those shutters too. Those become the windows. If you lay beams across the brackets, you can make a second floor. You put up handrails along the walkways to make sure nobody falls." He's like, "Where?" He's like, "Look, see all those rods scattered and rolled over there? That's them. Next, you lay down joists and place the floorboards across them and put up a ceiling. After that, your work is done and you can leave it to the wives to see to the finishing touches. They spread the rugs on the floors and put up the wall hangings. And there you have a finished house. Adding some grapevines to the center garden might be nice too, huh?" It's like, "For your house, mister?" He's like, "Huh? No, not mine. Somebody else's house." And you see the kid just grabbing up like little wood shavings and just like stretching it out. And you see cheep cheep as a little bird comes down, comes and grabs a wood shaving and flies off. He's like, "Hey, that's stealing!" And the old man's like, "Huh?" It's like, "Just now, that bird stole that." He's like, It's probably making a nest. It's where the eggs sleep. You've got a bed to sleep on too, right, kid?" A nest is a bird's bed. And you see the bird going back up into the nest as it's putting the little savings it stole into there. You see the kid just kind of like lying down, put his face flat, he's staring at something. It's like, what are you doing, kid? And you see back at the house, dinner will be ready soon. It's like, all right. It's like, it's not your turn. And you see Rostam just like peeking out and then rushing away while his mother's back's turned. It's like, Rostam, you come here right this minute. It's like, now she's mad. It's like, she's mad. It's like, your mother distinctly remembers telling you to weed the central garden and clean out the hen house. You haven't done a thing. Where did you go while you were skipping your chores? Yeah, what's going on with Rostam? It's like, he didn't do what he was told. It's like, aw. It's like, go do your chores right now, and there'll be no supper for you until you've completely finished. It's like, well, and he's just like despondent looking, goes, okay. It's like, huh? And you see how they're all sitting around the table, and the elder's like, couldn't he have done his chores after dinner? And the father's like, he has to do what must be done. It's like, well, yes, but I expected he'd make more of a fuss. Maybe he got something to eat wherever it is he went. You see the kid just sweeping out the hen house, just half-heartedly kind of swishing the broom around. And you see Rostam. And Amir just kind of pokes her head and goes, come here. And you see she got a plate of bread and olives nearby, and she goes, this is only for today, you know. I won't do this for you again. You really must do what you're told. Going out to play when you haven't finished your chores is wrong. It's like, okay. It's like, I'll help you out tonight. Let's get this over and done with. It's like, okay. And she later that night, she's like, I'm back. And you see the mother just like with a headscarf covering her face. She's like, thank you. I'm so sorry to force you into this. And Amir's like, it's all right. It's like, I know it's wrong to spoil him. Next time I'm really going to be strict. And she's like, strict? It's like, yes, I'll be completely resolute. Just you wait and see, Amir. It's like, resolute? And you see later that night, Amir's just like with her hands on her face, on her, resting on her palms. She's just staring at Kaoru sleeping. And he wakes up with a start. He's like, what? He's like, nothing. And you see the next day, Rostam, clean up everything scattered on the ground over there. He's like, okay. And you see he's got like a bunch of beads and rocks on the ground. And you see him just using a wooden board to just push it off in a corner. And he grabs a bench and just like pushes it over there and like tries to hide it. He's like, done! And he just takes off running to go hang out with the old man again. He's like, oh, so the new bride at your place is very nice? He's like, yeah. And as he's munching on some bread, he's like, don't eat too much. You won't have room left for dinner. He's like, yeah. It's like, I almost forgot. Here, turn around. Put down your meat bun. Okay, so it's a meat bun, not a bread. And you see he's carved a little necklace for him with like a goat symbol on it. He goes, it's a charm. Keep it. It's so you'll grow strong like a goat. And you see later as he's coming home, he's like, I'm home. It's like, welcome back. It's like, look. And he shows off for the charm to Amir. She's like, oh my, what a fine carving that is. Where'd you get it? It's like, he gave it to me. It's like, well. And Kaoru looks like, is it a charm? So he says it was given to him. And Foreigner Bro's like, oh. It's like, might that be a wooden talisman? Would you mind terribly if I had a look? It's like, why, this is the emblem of the goat. It's like, oh. And you see all the other kids be like, what's that? You got a present? From who? It's like, it's awesome. It's like, that's no fair. Only Rostam's like, give me. He's like, no. It's like, hey. It's like, no. And you see them all like fighting over the little necklace. Like, stop your fighting right this instant. And you have the father being like, what a rough day. He's like, I'm home. I was like, whoa. I was like, what do you think you're doing? As he has like hold a horse and trampling over the kids as they're running in front of him. It's like, never jump out in front of a moving horse. You want to get yourself killed? It's like, father, it's Rostam and nobody else. And he's like, give it back. It's like, it's no fair. He got it in secret, only for himself. You see, later you have like a little chick screaming, cheap. You're looking, all the kids looking all chastised. And he's like, and you, Rostam, you're a man, aren't you? Stop that bawling. And you see a gift he was proud to have received was taken from him, you know. He's like, so, just what happened exactly? And you see as he goes to the carver and goes, and that's the story. I'm so sorry to have to ask this, but he's like, you want me to make one for all of them? And the little sister's like, I want a hawk on mine, please. It's like, I'm taking requests. And Amir's like, I want one that kind of comes down to a point here. He's like, could we limit it to the children, please? And Foreigner Bro's like, I've heard it said that animals on talismans have meanings, but are there any non-domestic abstract images commonly used as motifs? It's like, you had to bring the weird one along too? It's like, nothing else for it, I suppose. He just takes out his pipe and knocks it out. It's like, right, hold on a second. It's like, you want some tea? It's like, ah, yes, thank you. It's like, I'm sorry, please don't bother on our account. And you have now, putting aside the matter of the talisman for a moment, can you explain this to me? And she's found out that he tried to hide his chores. Like, he made her mad again. Like, this does not qualify as cleaning up. Do it again and do it right. And no dinner for you. And he's like, It's like, no dinner for him, no dinner. And Carl looks, I wonder if that's not a little too strict. When my big sister gets angry, she tends to overdo the punishments. You see later that night, Amir going, I'm afraid I cannot. I told him I'd only do it once. After saying that, I cannot. And the sister's looking all taken aback. She's like, but what are we going to do? He hasn't had a bite to eat. It's like, you set the punishment yourself, right? It's like, but I never really thought he'd go without food. I expected somebody to bring him food later. It's like, listen, you. And Carla just kind of giving Amir the look. And she's like, I cannot. It's like, yes, well, I suppose not. Well, and you see poor Rostam curled up sleeping with a cue and a gurgle with his stomach. As we get to chapter 3. And you have Carla going, do you see them? And Amir's like, no, I don't. She's just standing up on her horseback, playing scout. I say, that's odd. They must have moved on. It's like, there's still plenty of grass. My guess is they never came here. It's like, is that right? I'd heard they were in this direction, so... It's like, well, they could be a little farther on. So let's try looking over that way. It's like, all right. And you have the family of Uncle Umak, actually a distant relative, is nomadic. They live on the move, raising sheep and selling the wool and meat. They were in this area a long time ago, but they moved west quite a while back. They had trouble with grazing rights and such, but I heard they'd come back this way. Father learned about it from a traveling peddler. He said, well, that's wonderful news. Now I can finally give it to him. It's like, with that, Father bought it out, a beautifully crafted dagger sheath. He asked me if I could have one made, but he went on the move before it was finished, and it's not something I can entrust to a stranger to deliver. And Carlux was looking at it and he goes, then why don't I deliver it for you? He's like, what? It's like, I've met Uncle Umak before, and I have to introduce myself as a married man now, so the timing is perfect, right? It's like, is that so? Well, you make a good point, and tell him that I look forward to seeing him in person soon. It's like, I will. He's like, and that's how we came here to be out here searching. It's like, not here either, eh? It's like, I guess they didn't come back after all. Or perhaps the nomads the peddler saw weren't them. So when a family changes their nomadic route, they tend to move around little by little, testing the lay of the land. It might mean that even though they are not here now, they have camped somewhere close by. We may be unable to spot them today, but we could return some other day and find them here. Let's just take our time and search. And Carl looks like, you're right. It's like, so the clan you grew up in was nomadic? And she's like, yes, but only in summer. And the next one you have her singing, beyond this mountain to that faraway land, we'll go to our tent to spend the night. When the moonlight pours down, the white bird cries from its branch, I'll be going to where that young girl is. Tell her that for me, white bird. And Carl looks like, that's a pretty song. And she just smiles and starts taking off with a gallop. And he's like, wait! And he starts chasing after her. And she continues singing, my horse is a golden horse. I will place upon you a saddle of gold. I'll fit you with a silver bit, and as the bird soars through the skies, you soar across the grassy green plains. And you see her just like trailing her arm behind her as he reaches out to grab her arm. And when he does, she finally slows down. He's like, it's like, you went galloping off so suddenly, it surprised me. What's the matter? It's like, nothing's the matter. It's like, It's like, I doubt he'd be over that way. Somebody else was there the last time I was in this area. It's possible that he's even farther off than that. And Amir's like, it's like, you see them? It's like, pomegranates! Like, pomegranates? And you see a pomegranate here nearby, and she just grabs one off. It's like, wow, amazing. It's like, what a good idea. We can bring them to Uncle Umak as a gift. You see her just having cut one open, she's already eating it. He's like, you're eating it now? And she cuts off another piece and gives it to him and goes, they're really delicious. It's like, you like pomegranates, eh? It's like, I love them. Girl after my own heart. It's like, are you sure those aren't a nuisance? And you see that they pull up a backpack full, or like a little sack full of pomegranates. It's like, they're fine. So we've come an awfully long way, haven't we? And as he's looking off, Carl looks like, I've hardly ever been out over that way. I wonder where the border is now. And so Ami kind of just gently tugs on the back of his robe and motions for him to be quiet. She sees nearby that there's a fox hiding behind some bushes waiting to pounce on some rabbits. She goes, wait here. And she grabs her bow and goes off behind, goes down, slinking down low. And she's slowly sneaking up on the fox, hunting it as it's hunting the rabbits. And she slowly pulls out an arrow from her quiver. And then she notches it and gets it ready. And as the fox is about to pounce for the rabbits, she lets her arrow fly and takes it out mid-pounce. And goes, well, isn't this fur beautiful? It's like, wow, it sure is. It's like, given a little time, it seems you could even catch a wolf. And Amir's like, impossible by myself. It would take everyone acting together to do it. And you see them again kind of traveling further into the plains to try to find his uncle. He's like, not here either, eh? She's like, if we don't go back soon, it'll be dark before we can make it home. And you see him looking down, kind of thinking about it. He's kind of, I think, see him cradling where he's holding the dagger sheath. He's like, why don't we head home? It's like, all right, we can always come out searching again. It's like, yeah. It's like, let's have some more pomegranates when we get home. It's like, okay. It's like, we'll give the fur to Father. And as we're leaving, she hears something. Amir hears something and turns back. And Carl looks like, what is it? Do you hear something? And he also hears it, and they're looking at themselves. It's like, there it is, over there. And they see a poor baby little lamb just bleating out the meh. He's like, it must have gotten separated from the herd. What's it doing in a place like this? And Amir just grabs like, there, come to me. He's like, huh? But that would mean it's like, over that way. And you see that they tied up the little baby lamb in a little cloth and bundled up on the horse. And then as they're riding down the hill, they see the settlement finally. And with a yeah, he rides off. Karluk takes off running with the Uncle Umac. It's like, is that you, Karluk? It's like, oh, it is you. It is you, Karluk. It's like, Karluk. It's like, you're looking well. It's like, oh, the Ahon boy. It's like, it's been so long. It's like, you've gotten so big. It's like, welcome. Glad you made it here. I was just planning on to visit your family myself. I'm amazed you even found us. And you see all his aunts and uncles and everyone. And he's like, one of your sheep went astray. It's like, oh my, how? It's like, oh, how awful. It's like, hey, didn't you bother counting them to make sure? And you have a clear out. It's like, you have no idea how much help you've been. Thank you. Our herd is so small this year. He's like, and who is this young lady? He's like, this is my wife, Amir. She's like, nice to meet you. He's like, we were married not long ago. I thought I'd bring her to introduce you. The uncle's silent before he goes, is that right? Really? Well, that's joyous news. And so tonight we celebrate. It's like, good idea. It's like, really, those northerners are as bad as they come. They follow on our heels and accuse us of all kinds of things, saying that we let our sheep run wild and eat the crops on farms and such. Despicable. This was originally our land anyway. We're not moving now no matter what. It's like, I'm sorry to bore you with my troubles. And it's like, here, we finally met after so long. This is a celebration. It's like, right. It's like, you even bought the sheath I asked for. Look at how fine the work is. It's like, is everyone well? Nobody has passed away, have they? It's like, yes, everybody is well. And you see this little baby just crawling over. Amir's laughs. Like, stop there, Tai. It's like, mind your manners, would you? And Amir's like, Amir, may I ask your age? It's like, I'm 20. It's like, so you're 2 years older than me. It's like, you came a long way. And Karluk's like, yeah, just a little. And you see, assume the older uncle or grandfather is kind of looking at Karluk and Amir worried. Jeff, hey Karluk, you should drink too. Drink up. Now that you have a wife, you're a man, right? He just pours him out a ladle of a drink. So did you have enough meat to eat? Have some of this. Eat. Javraluka, sing something. And you see later that night, as he's like, Karluk getting all sleepy, he's about to drop his cup. He's like, it's like, what is this? Are you getting tired? It's like, it's like, no, I'm fine. It's like, well, I guess you would be. It's about time to wrap this up. We have work to do tomorrow. And you have, go ahead and use the yurt across from here. We've already laid out the bedding. It's like, thank you so much. It's like, good night. It's like, yes, night. And as they're heading off, the older grandfather's like, I must say that's one old bride he's got there. And Umak's like, yes, she is a bit old, isn't she? I wonder if it'll be alright. At that age, she won't be able to give birth to as many children. It's like, bride should be young. It's like, well, can't argue with that. Carl splays out on the bed with a, I'm so full. Never thought Uncle Umak would make me drink like that. And you see as Amir's taking off her head covering, she's like, are you drunk? It's like, no, I'm not. It's like, really? It's like, alright, maybe I am drunk. It's like, everyone is so kind. It's like, yeah. It's like, on our way home, let's pick some more pomegranates. It's like, yeah, you really do love those, don't you? And he's silent for a second. He goes, I have something to say. It's like, yes? It's like, when I first met you, the only reason I was surprised was because you were different from what I had heard. I didn't marry you because I had no other choice. What I'm saying is, not even once have I wished you were any younger or anything, okay? You can see she's all happy about it. She's like, okay. And you see there's like an awkward little silence, like, that's all. She's like, is that really all? It's like, is that really all? You see him getting all embarrassed. They share a kiss. And he's like, let's get to sleep. He's like, say, Amir, you take that quilt and you see how she's taking off her clothes. He's like, wait just a second. Why are you taking off your clothes? He's like, it gets very cold in the yurt at night. It's warmest to sleep in the nude. He's like, no, I mean, we're in my uncle's house. And she's like, anybody who sleeps in a yurt does this. Come on, strip down. She's like trying to take his clothes off. It's like, not me, I'm fine. It's like, if you stay clothed, you'll catch a cold. And you see they're snuggling together under the covers. It's like, it's warm, isn't it? It's like, it's warm, but I can't relax enough to fall asleep. It's like, just sleep. And he's like, I think that lamb sleeping with its mother must feel just like this. And you see, the next day you have, you, boy, do you know where the Ihon family lives? A woman named Amir recently came to them as a bride. He's like, over there. And you have chapter 4, we want Amir returned. Jump over there. It's like, where did he get off to? And you see one of the guys going over and picking off a fruit from a tree, going, it's still a little hard. It's like, hey, what do you think you're doing? It's like, have one. It's an apricot. He just chucks one over. It's like, don't just pick them. It's like, anything on this side of the wall belongs to everybody. It's like, here, you have one too. And he tosses another apricot. It's like, oh, and have a clop. And I'm going. It's like, wait. Yeah, Uncle said it would take 4 or 5 days for us to get here, but it's a greater distance than I thought. It's like, I'm hungry. I want some mutton. Slices fresh off the grill, piled high on a plate. The really juicy kind. Some fried rice might work too. Pour soup all over it and shovel it in. That stuff's good. It's like, don't get your hopes up. We're not going to get a royal welcome here. It's like, maybe we can get some food before we have the talk. So forget it, we're already here. I see them heading up there as they come upon the little sister. And he's like, do you have some business with us, sir? He's like, that's right, we're here on business. Are there any adults at home? He's like, mother. It's like, children being around complicates things. And yes, who might you be? He's like, well, actually. And he goes, we are of the Hallgal clan. We wish to discuss my sister Amir. Is the master of the house present? And the other guy's like, how about some food first? And you see them sitting down at the table with Amir's brother going, sending Amir here to be wed was something of an error on our part. We wish her returned. Father's like looking back surprised. It's like, wait just a moment. What is the meaning of this? He's like, I mean exactly what I said. She's not intended to be sent out here as a wife, and we want her back. And he goes, don't go making such selfish demands. You didn't show up to the wedding, so I wondered what you might want at this late date. And this is what you've come to talk about? And Foreigner Bro's like, what's the matter? It's like, even if there was some error on your part, we have received her into our family. That should be the end of it. We have no dissatisfaction with the girl, and now she is a valued member of our house. Jeff, who are those men? He's like, welcome back. So you don't return a family member just because someone strolls in and demands it. And White Turban Bro's like, can't fault that logic. And her brother's like, has she conceived a child? A couple is not officially man and wife until a child is born. Thus, Amir is still a member of our clan. We have the right to decide what happens to her. And Foreigner Bro's like, is that right? And you have him all silent for a second before he goes, in any case, we are prepared for a bit of resistance. However, we have been told to bring her back despite any objections. He goes, Amir, come out now. These are father's orders. We're going home. And the father goes, she isn't here. She and my son are out. And the older of the guys that came over is like, don't try to hide her. He's like, I'm hiding nothing. What isn't here isn't here. And you see, as her brother just strides to the house, opening up the curtains. Like, what are you? It's like, wait just a minute, you. He's like, so this is how it turns out. It's like, what choice is there? And you see older brother grabbing Amir's brother as he goes, unhand me. It's like, stop what you're doing. You can't storm your way into other people's houses. It's like, my only business is with Amir. It's like, that doesn't matter. Get out of here. It's like, remove your hand or I shall do it for you. It's like, wait, stop it, stop. It's like, yeah, I'd like to see you try. And as he's about to draw the sword, you see shunk as an arrow comes flying in between them and lodges into the wall. And you see the grandma just standing there with the bow going, will you be quiet? You're disturbing the whole neighborhood. And it's like, my mother. It's like, dear. It's like, Amri is not here. And even if she were, we wouldn't hand her over. Now leave. And the brother goes, honorable matron, we did not intend for our news to cause you any distress. She goes, fine words from a man who shows up suddenly demanding that we turn over a woman of our house. Distressing news indeed. And he goes, she is not of your house yet, is she? And he's like, why? Because she has not borne a child? She is with child. It's growing there in Amir's belly. And like, huh? I'm glad she isn't here. If your disturbance caused a miscarriage, how would you make up for that? And White Hair Turban Bro's like, let's go. As grandmother knocks another arrow and sends it flying, she goes, now get out. You have no claim of kinship or any right to her anymore. And if you try to lay hands on a woman of my house again, it won't go well for you. Just remember that. And as they're taking off, the older brother goes, and don't ever come back. His wife's like, don't provoke. And Amir's brother was like, I hope I won't have to. And as they're taking off, you have, now what do we tell them? So we tell them like we heard it. When the matron goes that far, it stops being about returning one bride. Now we have an excuse. And White Turban Bro goes, Azel, there's nothing more we can do here. And you have Azel, the eldest brother. He's always been far too earnest. If I hadn't said what I did, he'd never have left. The ones giving the orders are probably the elders of the clan. The minute the old leader of the clan died, they started acting as they pleased, even going so far as to use her older brother. And it's like, by the way, what you just said about Amir being with child, is it true? And the grandma's like, well, it's bound to happen sometime. It's like, I figured as much. It's like, now or later, it doesn't change a thing. It's all just a matter of time. And it's like, I must say, that's some bow you have. When did you get it? It's like, it was part of my dowry. And next page you see that Amir and Karluk are helping to herd the sheep. Herd his uncle's sheep. And she has a ho, yeah! And she's like throwing a little rope and like trying to herd him along. And Karluk's like, here maybe? She's like, no, the grass is too tough in this area. It's like, but they said that it rained recently, so there should be some new grass if we head a little farther that way. And you see them letting the sheep out to graze as she lays down a blanket. Goes, here, gives them some bread for a snack. It's like, thanks. So we just watch them graze until evening? It's like, no, once we have full bellies, we head back. And he's like looking confused, and she's like, full-bellied sheep. Afterward, we have to bring the females here too. It's like, that's so. And you see back at his uncle's little housing place, you have Sultan, lead the little ones this way. It's like, okay. It's like, right, that should be enough. It's like, okay, you're all finished, now go, go! You see, meh, as they're letting all the little baby sheep finally go and drink the mother's milk. It's like, we're back. It's like, thank you. It's like, sorry to ask you to do this. And Amir's like, shall we take out the ewes as well? It's like, don't bother. You can relax now. It's like, hey, stop your playing. You have to take them out to graze. It's like, I mean, honestly, forcing guests to work. I'm so ashamed. And Karluk's like, achoo. It's a little cold when you're not moving around. And Amir's like, then why don't you come over? Then why don't you come? He's like, it's like, over here. And he's like, I'm fine. I think I'll just take the horse for a ride. It's like, you're coming too? It's like, I am. And you see chapter 4 ends. We have chapter 5 with Karluk going, we're home. It's like, welcome back. It's like, Ma, you brought so much back with you. It's like, isn't this more than what you left with? So as if you went on a trade mission. All this came from Uncle Umak? It's like, yeah, he said there were wedding presents. It's like, oh, so you're home? Was everybody well? What did Umak say? It's like, everybody was looking good. He says he'll come by sometime soon. He also had a gift to thank Father for the sheath. It's like, where is Father? It's like, he went to a town meeting. I'm sure he'll be back soon. And you see Amir just emptying out the sack with pomegranates. The kids are like, pomegranates! It's like, wow! He's like, oh, he even sent pomegranates? It's like, I feel guilty accepting all of this. And Karlik's like, no, those are because Amir... And you see the grandfather just kind of watching as they're all interacting. Karlik's like, what is it? It's like, nothing. It's like, so you're back. Welcome home. The father comes back. He's like, welcome home. It's like, Father, Uncle Umak wanted to express his thanks for the sheath. And his father's just staring at him. He's like, did he now? And Karlik's looking all confused as the adults are like a little bit withdrawn. So you have Chapter 5, The Cold. Again, phenomenal artwork on this cover page. Just banger. You have, yes, they travel along with their sheep. They bring yurts with them. And you see the little kids playing with like some wooden horses with the yeah! It's like, what are yurts? It's like their houses made of cloth. You've seen them outside the town, haven't you? He's like, you broke off its horns! It's like, don't worry, they're not broken. They just came out. It's like, I can fix it in a flash. And as Karlik's fixing up the toys, like, say, did anything happen while we were away? The kids all look excited. like Rostam went to bed, and he didn't tell, so Mother got mad at him. And he's like, hey! It's like, bad weather. So you're not supposed to say that. It's like, come on. It's like, Torkan, Chalk, stop it, both of you. It's like, why did you have to say that? It's like, oh, now he's crying. It's like, you made him cry, Torkan. You said it too, Chalk. It's like, you're the one who said bad weather. It's like, both of you just stop. Karlik's like, for pity's sake. See down below as all the women are like lowering out like flatbreads and things to cook. So they're fighting again. It's like, oh, just let them be. There really is no help for those boys. It's like, Amir, did you ever fight with your older brother? It's like, no, hardly at all. It's like, is that so? So it only really happens between brothers, huh? And she's like, only my older brother. I have younger brothers and sisters too. It's like, really? I only heard you had an older brother. It's like, you heard? It's like, yes, well, you know. And you see later Karlik be like, I'm completely spent for some reason. And I can't keep a single thought in my head. He's like, huh? And he feels his forehead. And as Amir is like coming happily running in, it's like, what's the matter? It's like, I think I may be coming down with a fever. She looks all worried. She like puts his palm to his head and he's like, nice and cool. And he just grabs him, like lifts him up. He's like, whoa, wait! Amir's like, watch out! And she goes and throws him on the bedding and starts like piling a bunch of blankets on top of him. He's like, it's hard to breathe. And she just like starts throwing all the bedding off him again. It's like, you mustn't try to get up. Just lie there and sleep. He's like, okay. It's like, mother. It's like, yes, he does. He seems to be a little feverish. It's like, how do you feel? Are you sore at all? It's like, I'm fine. It's like a cold, I assume. It's like, you worry too much, Amir. This is nothing. It's like, perhaps, but there's no harm in being cautious either. You just rest there until the fever goes down. It's like, all right. It's like, I'm fine. I'm sure it's just because we did so much traveling. She's looking like all panicked and nervous. Like, oh, just so adorable. And Molly's like, Amir's like, calm down. It's like, a fever? He has a fever? Does that mean he's sick? It's like, that's right. So you have to be quiet. It's like, should we send for the doctor? It's like, he's trying to rest, you know. He's only slightly feverish. It's like, I wonder if it's a bit hasty to send for a doctor at this stage. It's like, I see. If it seems Karlik will be laid up for a while, we'll send for him then. It's like, yes. And as he's in the bed, you see Amir just by his bedside, still looking all nervous. He's like, what is it? It's like, no, it's nothing. He's like, is the quilt too heavy? It's like, it's fine. It's like, I don't know why, but I can't seem to relax. It's like, how's young Karlik? Has he gotten any better? It's like, oh, the fever's gotten worse. It's like, oh, you must be so worried. It's like, yes, I am concerned for my son, but I'm more worried about Amir. It's like, you mean his bride? It's like, yes, I keep telling her he'll get better and be fine, but she's in such a state of panic. I feel sorry for her. And you see later as Karlik's like sniffing and coughing, he's like, I'm sorry, but I think I've had enough. And the sister's like, you too, Amir, your dinner. It's like, they're calling you to dinner. Go and eat. And she's like, call if you need anything, anything at all. And you see her just sitting there and too nervous to actually eat. And she hears him coughing, and she just takes running off to go check on him. And the mother peeks in with the, well, it's like his fever, it seems even worse. It's like, I see. It is a little worrying. Perhaps we should call the doctor. It's like, he can't stop coughing. It's like, that's true. It's like, Amir, here's your dinner. You left before you finished. I know how you feel, but you mustn't overextend yourself. You could also collapse. And as he's letting out another series of coughs, she's looking more and more frightened. He's like, won't you eat half of this with me? And he's like, no. It's like, water. How about a drink of water? It's like, I don't want any. And you see that kind of just like still feverish. And you have Foreigner Bro going painkiller, disinfectant, and this is to settle an upset stomach. It's like, I'm afraid I haven't bought much useful medicine. It's like, it may not help, but it can't hurt. Try it? Carl looks like, I think I'll pass. It's like, what else? I've heard rumors that hot brandy is good, but I fear there's no brandy to be had anywhere in the area. Perhaps we could substitute that fermented mare's milk they have. And the older brother's like, are you all right, Carl? Look. It's like, I went to the doctor's house. He said he'd come over immediately. It's like, a doctor? It's like, oh, did you? It's like, well, thank goodness. It's like, everything will be fine now. He's a very good doctor. The doctor's giving some broth and goes, make more just like that 3 times a day. Bring it to a boil and have him drink it. And Amir's like, we will. It's like, aside from that, some good rest and a bit of good sweat would do. I'll be on my way now. And the foreigner's like, if I could claim just a moment of your time. It's like, who are you, son? It's like, if you just step this way, he's like, what is this about? And the mother's like, Amir, why don't you go over there and get some rest? You've hardly slept at all. It's like, I'm fine. I'll stay here. It's like, Amir, how about I spell you for a while? He's like, I'm fine. It's like, I wonder if we'll have to force bed rest on her. It's like, on the other hand, I understand exactly how she feels, so I wouldn't feel right about pressing her too much. And even if Karluk is cured, if Amir collapses from the strain, that would make things even worse. I never thought we'd be worried not so much for Karluk but for Amir. It seems backwards somehow. And you see later that night as he's coughing, Amir's still like trying to look after him, trying to put more bed quilts on him. He's like, I don't want more quilts, it's so hot. And he's trying to put like a cold compress on him. She's got like her knees drawn up to her chest and he's looking all like nervous. And the grandmother comes in and is like, Amir, I'm coming in. He's like, oh, grandmother. He's like, what is it? There's nothing to cry about. He looks to be sleeping just fine. If he gets his rest, he'll be well in no time. He's like, but what if? It's like, now sit down, Amir. I understand that you're worried. There have been instances where people who seem perfectly fine passed away unexpectedly. But this is simply a normal cold. It's an illness that will soon pass. That's what the doctor said, and I think so too. Trust us. She just pats her gently and she's like, frankly, I'm more concerned about you. You could ruin your own health. All of us are worried about you. So think of it as doing me a favor and get some sleep, would you? It's like, don't worry, I'll wake you if there's any change. Now close your eyes. It's like, good. Good night. It's like, that's a good girl. You see the next day as they're checking his temperature, it's like, it's gone down. It's like, has it? Let me see for a moment. And you see all of them are just like trying to paw at him. It's like, it's true. It's like, oh, no doubt he'll be fine now. It's like, thank goodness. It's like, I want to see. And you see Alma just kind of cradling him in her lap. And he's like, I'm all right now. It's like, why don't I fix up something nice and nutritious? If you don't eat, you'll never get your strength back. What would you like to eat? And you see the next day at the stretcher, outside after so long. And he goes to check on his horse in the stable and says, I'm sorry, Arakra. I've been neglecting you, eh? He's like, he was pretty lonely and he didn't seem to like the way I tended him. It's like, thank you so much. He's like, hey, Arakra, stop it. It's like, achoo. As he sneezes, as Amir comes running in with a baouche. He's like, did I hear you cough? Your fever hasn't come back, has it? He's like, no, it hasn't. It was just a sneeze. He's like, I knew it. You should still be in bed. She just like tries to grab him and haul him away. It's like, I said I'm fine. Let me down. It's like, I'm okay. I'm completely fine now. And the brother's like, you look like you could haul a sheep. It's like, the rams are too heavy. It's like, now put this on too. It's like, I have to wear more? It's like, I think I have quite enough on already. I'm hardly going to the doctor's house to thank him. And you see Amish just looking all nervous, and he's like, he puts on the robe just to make her happy. And you see as he's trying to lift his leg into the stirrup, he's too heavy. to actually get on the horse. He's weighed down by all his clothing. So yeah, so we got a little bit of an afterword from the author. She's like, yeah, so it's like, I first became hooked on the Caucasus region of Central Asia in middle and high school. Bought a bunch of books on it. And it's like, oh, carpets, carpets, more carpets. So yeah. Let me see if there's anything else. Yeah, so she's like, so he's like, so now I come to Amir. I thought about what kind of woman I'd like to see in a Central Asian setting. This is what I came up with. It's a good with a bow, older sister type wife, worldly wise about chickens and rabbits and such, wild, naive, strong, but still a young lady, but still a rich girl type. Yeah. So yeah, not much. I'll have to go through that. They have a little family tree at the back. We'll go through that. But yeah, again, like I mentioned, I read this book, the series way back, like the first couple of volumes, like way back. So some memories of it like started coming back to me. I recognized like the brothers' image when we got to it at the end. I've forgotten about like the little stuff in the volume. But I'm happy to report, still, dude, really enjoy this kind of like historical slice of life drama stuff in this chapter. As always, the artwork was completely phenomenal. Again, I cannot emphasize enough just how great Kaoru Mori's work in this is with regards to the artwork, especially all the intricacies and kind of like replicating the designs on like the rug, the furniture, the housing, all that kind of stuff. You can tell that she's put a lot of research and passion into this series, kind of researching that time period, like the clothing, the houses and appearance, stuff like that. You can tell all of that kind of just seeps through the series as you're reading it. So really do appreciate that. I do love both the grandma and Amir, being like these competent women, going around like hunting, doing all that kind of stuff. So I love that we got like a good variety. So you've got the women there doing like the domestic chores, but you also got Amir, who's like, well versed and proficient in hunting, herding, stuff like that. So love like the good variety of characters and stuff we're getting in this setting as well. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Really looking forward to diving into and catching up with this series fully. But yeah, a lot of fun. I hope you all enjoyed as well. Yeah. So like I mentioned at the beginning, if you like this content, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned, I'll try to get to a Battle Angel Alita video today. If not, I'll get around to it next week along with Black Hammer. Like I mentioned in my channel update video, I'm going to be trying to rotate through those 3 series. So look for at least one video of each coming out every week, every other week. And until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.